All right, now that you know how to change your baby and feed your baby, you're about to learn how to soothe your baby. And soothing is a big part of helping them to feel secure and safe and building this trust. Because sometimes, they just need to be soothed. Again, think about they came from this place. Imagine you come from vacation, right? You just spent a week. Imagine you spent 9 months with all of your needs being taken care of. Every single need being taken care of to, plopped you buck naked right into work, right? Where your knee, where it was just crazy and loud. And sometimes, we need to be soothed because it's a major transition from this peaceful, safe environment where all their needs are taken care of to this environment where, yes, their needs are being taken care of, but they're relying now on outside forces, you and mom, to take care of those needs. And sometimes they're freaking out a little bit, right? I mean, look, sometimes, I'm freaking out, you're freaking out. It's a crazy kind of thing that we deal with here living out in this world, right? Okay, so soothing. By far, the single most effective tool, tactic, skill that you can use to soothe your baby is holding them skin on skin. By far, the most effective tool that you can use, okay? I've mentioned it before and I'll mention it again. From the minute that they're born and they hand you the baby, if you can be shirtless and skin on skin with them, you're only gonna increase the odds of bonding and soothing and helping them to feel more safe and secure. There's something about your body temperature and the closeness, right? That they're, right next to you. I'll spare you from taking my shirt off to demonstrate, all right? You get the point. When they're super close and they feel your heartbeat and the skin temperature. I mean, study after study, the facts all go to show it is the most effective way to soothe them. But just so you know, off the bat, the big three: body temperature, blood sugar, heart rate, it all balances out when you are holding them skin to skin, okay? And especially for us dudes, right? Why? Because look, the baby with your woman, your baby was inside your woman, so physically connected with her for a long time, about 9 months. So for us to bond and connect with them, it's one more, layer closer to the bonding, to helping them to, feel as close as they do to the mama physically to you, dad. Okay? So from the minute they come out, skin to skin is your first line of soothing tools and technique that you want to call into play to help soothe them when right? Soothing comes into play when they have a clean diaper, they've already been fed and have a full tummy. The next thing you're thinking is soothing them because those fundamental needs have been met. The next thing is soothing them. So skin on skin. Now there's a bunch of ways to do this. You're at home, shirt off. You can have them put a blanket over you too. The temperature depending, just to be snuggled in. If it's in the middle of the night, you have a blanket. A baby carrier, okay? Baby carriers are amazing because you can snuggle them in and be hands-free and they're super close to you. I love the Ergo Baby. We use that. It's so sturdy. I can't say enough about it. That was a great, great carrier. And there's another carrier, right? It's a kangaroo pouch, and it's called the Kangaroo Hold. And it's used a lot in the NICU for preemies, right? And the kangaroo pouch, the kangaroo hold is simply having a blanket, okay? And look, is it easier to purchase a kangaroo holder, carrier, pouch thing? Yes, because it's designed to do what I'm about to show you. Now, if you haven't bought one of these things, if you don't have one of these things, if you have a blanket, okay, it needs to be big enough to wrap around you. Ultimately, what the kangaroo pouch hold looks like is you take a blanket and you're gonna put it here, okay? You take one edge, you put it on your belly, okay? Then you're gonna take Junior in a diaper, okay, in a diaper. When I'm saying skin to skin, I'm always meaning baby in a diaper and you shirtless, okay? Blanket here with a corner, then you put the baby's feet here, right? And they're on top of you like this. And then, right, so you're making a pouch so they can't slide down. Then the blanket comes up like this and it gets tied around your torso, right? So mom comes over, whoever you got there, to tie this around you. So essentially they're like in a kangaroo pouch, right? Their feet are tucked up under so they can't slide. And you guys are now skin to skin in this little kangaroo pouch, all right? This is first way to go, always, skin to skin, okay? Best, most effective way to start the soothing process is to get them skin on skin. All right. The next set of skills I want to share with you come from Dr. Harvey Karp, pediatrician, and he wrote the book, and there's this video, The Happiest Baby on the Block. All right? And Dr. Karp, he came up with the fact that, or his perception was, he kind of came to terms where he was like, when the baby's born, it's almost like the fourth trimester. And he also was like, you know what, soothing the baby. How do we soothe this baby? He's like, let's mimic the environment of your woman's womb, right? Their home planet. And that will give them a sense of ease and peace because they'll feel like they're at home. And he came up with these 5 S's. And I'm here to share with you, they are very, very effective. And definitely support Dr. Karp. You could get his video or get the book. And I'm going to show you these S's with his permission, okay? And I'm going to show you these S's plus a few more techniques that are going to help you soothe the baby. I didn't discover Dr. Karp stuff until our 3rd kid. And they were very significant and, life-changing because again, I didn't even know about the skin to skin when I started. I just didn't know, right? So already you are like miles ahead of most dudes out there when it comes to soothing who aren't even thinking skin to skin, right? Okay, so I'm about to show you, so Dr. Karp's 5 S's. Number 1 is swaddling, okay? And I'm about to show you how to swaddle. Now, I also want to share with you that there is a bit of controversy out in the birthing world about swaddling in general, right? So there is some back and forth about, ultimately it comes down to swaddling properly and the argument that you start digging deeper into swaddling. And yes, babies have been swaddled, since the beginning of time. The baby's born and you wrap them up and you kind of swaddle them up, right? When you start digging deep into swaddling as we know it, like really binding them, and you start looking back to when people started doing this, when folks started to be able to afford nurses and baby caretakers, and there was work and people started having these nurses and helpers. Like back in the day, it's interesting, and it just makes sense that swaddling was actually associated with neglecting the kid. Why? Because let's say you were very wealthy and you hired this person. You know, it was relatively easy to bind them, swaddle them up, and put them over here because they weren't getting into trouble. They weren't hurting anyone. They were just kind of swaddled and put over there, and easier to manage. Which, when you think about, you know, back in the day, and that kind, you know, you watch Downton Abbey, and you recognize, like, in this kind of environment, how you can see how that would make sense that people did that, right? And the research is pointing to the fact when your baby is swaddled, okay, yes, it is very effective in calming them down. And look, I'm going to show you how to swaddle because it is effective at certain points as a tool to help calm your baby down, with the knowledge that ultimately they do calm down, but it's not like, oh, I'm so relaxed, thank you for binding me. It's going to show that it's more like, no one's coming to get me, so let me just kind of shut down. Right? Like, you can see that kind of also makes sense. Okay, and I'm not saying that, you know, at times swaddling is a helpful tool when we need to really calm them down. I'm just sharing with you that swaddling is a tool and not a rule. Okay, I'm going to show you how to do it effectively. There's also incorrect swaddling could lead to hip dysplasia, okay, where if you swaddle them up and their hips are bound, you know, your baby wants to move, and if they're bound all the time and they can't move, you know, they'll move so much, boom, like if this is their hip, they're going to boom, pop their hip out and cause hip dysplasia, right? So the technique, the swaddling that I'm going to demonstrate for you is old-fashioned swaddling that essentially binds their upper body and holds them close. It binds their upper arms, which again, you know, when you look at babies in the womb, a lot of times, you know, their arms are crossed and they are crunched up into a little ball, and it is, you know, very tight on space in there. And that also goes, you know, to the philosophy of why it helps to settle them down. You know, you ultimately be the judge of, you know, your, you know, what you truly believe. It does make sense with the no one's coming to help me, let me quiet down. It also does make sense that, you know, they're in a little ball and that could be soothing to them. I'm just showing you with both sides. Ultimately, the best thing is the skin on skin. And I'm also going to show you how to swaddle them right now so you know how to do that. And then I'm going to show you the other S's per Dr. Karp. And look, these are very effective. I just wanted to share with you the swaddling perspective, and then the other S's that I'm going to show you are very effective tools to help calm down your baby and help them to be soothed. Okay, swaddling your baby. Ultimately, all you need is a rectangle blanket. All right, and here again, if you're going to buy some stuff or you get some stuff as a gift, I will say that a swaddling blanket these days are really nice if you're going to be using swaddling. Even if swaddling is in your toolkit of soothing skills, a swaddling blanket is super nice. Like, this blanket is not so stretchy. It's a little bit stretchy, although the ones they sell that are made out of like muslin and they're really stretchy, they're really nice. And some of them have Velcro and little snaps and different things, which are all super nice. And ultimately, if all you have is a rectangle blanket, I want you to know the basics of swaddling. So I'm going to show you from this angle, and then I'm going to bring the camera over and show you like over the shoulder so you can see from both perspectives what it looks like, okay? So when it comes to swaddling, you have your blanket, okay, and you want to dog ear the top left corner, all right? So you're going to dog ear the top left corner like that, and it'll work the same if you're a lefty, you want to dog ear this way. It's just going to be in reversed, okay? It's going to be reversed. So here we go. You dog ear the top left corner, you take Junior in their little diaper, okay, or in like a very light, maybe a sleep shirt or something, okay? Now, you want to have 3 fingers from the top angle here of the dog ear to the top of their shoulder, all right? And that's going to give you room to wrap the blanket over the shoulder, all right? And the thing to remember with swaddling, this old-fashioned style, is that number 1, you're going to go corner, corner, each corner, 1, 2, 3, 4. The big area where a lot of folks mess up the order is that they start from down here thinking this is the first corner, where when you're swaddling, the first angle, first corner you're going to use is this dog-eared corner. Okay, so that's number 1. All right, so here we go. You take the first angle, the dog-eared corner, and this is going to come over their shoulder, okay, towards the center of their chest. That's number 1. Then you go to the second corner down here, and this corner is really the linchpin to the whole operation, okay? And again, if we are swaddling, you want to swaddle tightly. If you're going and using this tactic, you want it to be tight, okay? You take the second corner, and this is going to come across their body, and you can see here, you're going to tuck it between the armpit and the top of their hip. So their hip is never bound. You're not binding their hip, okay? It's their upper arms, their upper body. So again, this second corner is going to come across their body, and you're going to tuck it in between their armpit and the top of their hip, okay? And from here, you're going to be pulling them into the corner, okay? You're going to pull them in so it's nice and snug. Then you're going to pull this arm down. It's your little baby, right? And again, a common question, do your arms get crossed, arms by the side? Your baby's going to let you know how they're most comfortable, all right? Either way, coming from where I'm at now, either way, you're binding them. So, again, I'm always leaning back on soothing them skin to skin and avoiding binding them. However, if you're going to bind them, see how their arms fall, right? Either down by the side or up by their arm. Okay, so in here, right, you could put there, because this arm is going to be bound here in a second. Okay, so their hands are here. You drop this arm, third corner, and this is now going to come over this other shoulder. And you see it goes behind the shoulder, but in front of the blanket here. And now both shoulders are covered, and look what's left. A tail. Here's the tail like this, okay? So now you're going to take this tail, and it gets pulled across the first shoulder, okay? Nice and snug. And again, this is where when you have an actual swaddling blanket that's super stretchy, you'll see it's super easy. You just pull it and it stretches nice, and you're pulling them nice and tight, and it gets wrapped around and tucked in up here, okay? So there you have it. This is old-fashioned swaddling, step by step, and this is how it works. So now I'm going to change the angle around so you could see it like over the shoulder as I'm doing it, okay? Okay guys, so now I want to show you swaddling from over the shoulder so you're actually seeing it, how it looks like when your baby's right in front of you. Okay, so here we go. We have the top left corner dog-eared, all right, and we put Junior down, and again, you want to have about 3 fingers from the top here to the top of their shoulder, which is going to give you a little bit of room to wrap the blanket around their shoulder. Okay, and again here, if your baby's arms fall, over their chest, or if they're going to feel more comfortable putting them down, that's going to be individually like you figuring out what your baby is most comfortable with, even though we're kind of binding them up here, right? Okay, so again, you start from this top dog-eared corner. This angle is number 1. Okay, and this is going to come up and over Junior's shoulder, and you're going to pull this to the center of their chest. This arm comes up, and then you're going to take corner number 2, and this goes across their body, just like this, and you're going to tuck it in between the armpit and the top of their hip. So in between the armpit and the top of the hip, the second fold, the second corner goes in, and you're going to pull them close into the corner. So this becomes, they get snuggled in to the side here. Okay? Excellent. Then we're going to drop Junior's arm down. Okay? We're going to take the third corner, and this is going to come up and over their shoulder. Okay? The second shoulder is now going to be covered, and you're going to, it goes in between the blanket, right? It goes behind their shoulder, but in front of the blanket. And now we have this nice tail like this. And again, with a swaddling blanket that's made out of a real stretchy material, it's going to be super, super snappy. And then we take this corner, the tail of it, we're going to pull it up and over the first corner, around, and tuck it in up here, just like this. Okay? Ta-da! Your baby is super snuggled and swaddled in. Their hips are totally free, especially in a swaddling blanket. There's going to be a lot of room for them to move their legs around. Their hips are not bound at all. We're just binding their upper body to help them feel snuggled in and, to recreate that tight space of the womb. Okay? Next, we're going to move to S number 2, which is side holding. Now that you've swaddled your baby, the second S per carp is side lying, right? So just for an example, when we're feeding the baby, we're going to be looking at the baby to feed them, right? When we're soothing, we're in soothing mode right now. We want the baby facing out. So I'm here to say, for whatever reason, they really do like to look outward, and it's soothing to them. So there is some different angles here, right? So your baby's facing out. It's interesting, and when I first saw this video, I was having a hard time believing it, although I gotta tell you, it is very true. Your baby is going to have a specific angle that they particularly like in your arms, right? I mean, I've had experiences where the baby was like for real, like on and off based on this angle. So when we're talking about angles here. If you think about from the shoulder perspective and they're in your arm, you're holding them close, this angle, like maybe they want to be looking down more, maybe they want to be looking out more, depending on the day, depending on the circumstance. However, a lot of times they're going to find this super sweet little nook and angle in your arms that they really just love. Okay, so that's the second S, is having them side lying. And again, in the womb, they're kind of on their side a bit, right? So a lot of these things just make sense, and that's why they are so effective and work so well. All right, so now that they are swaddled and they're on their side, the next S is shushing. All right. And look, in general, if you want to take this other hand and put it right here under your baby's head, just look how snuggled in, how secure Daddy has them, right? Just put yourself in your baby's position, and they're scared or they're just kind of freaking out a little bit, and being held so tight and loved and super close to them, how secure they're going to feel in your arms. Right? They're just feeling nice and secure. So now enter in shushing. And shushing mimics the sound of the blood swooshing around. They're inside your woman, They hear the blood vessels and the blood swooshing and the breathing, and there's a lot of shh. That's where shushing helps to remind them of their home place and also to help relax them. The key with shushing is actually to match their tone, all right? So if they're screaming super loud, ah! You want to shush loud, right in their ear. Now, I'm not talking about screaming, ah! We're talking about shushing. And there's really only a certain, I guess, decibel that you're going to be able to shush. So you're not going to hurt them in any way by shushing as loud as you can shush. Okay, so the shushing is going to be, you're going to hold them super close. You're going to bring their ear right to your mouth like this. Okay, and then you're going to shush. Okay. Now, again, we're matching their tone. And there's something about matching their tone. The example I like to give is if somebody gets in your face, okay? And look, there's a lot to be said for someone getting in your face and you're like, okay, dude, just whatever. Although, you know, there's also something to be said for standing your ground, feeling grounded, and matching someone's tone. Right? Because if somebody's coming in like a steamroller and you're standing your ground and you stand up to them, things tend to de-escalate, I would say. Like for the example, someone screaming in your face, you know, you're like, well, listen, man, the example of the grocery store. Okay? You know, you pull into your spot and you're just kind of doing your thing. You saw a spot, you pulled in and someone's, you took my spot! You know, I can't believe you took my spot. And yes, one way and really a nice way. Okay, man. I mean, look, you already parked. I'm just saying, if you're like, look, man, I didn't know it was your spot. I got here. I parked there, okay? There doesn't need to be a problem here, dude. Okay, so you see, you kind of matched the tone, right? You didn't, go past, so you kind of matched the tone. Well, okay, I see where you're coming from. No problem, dude. Okay, and it kind of de-escalates, all right? In my mind, it kind of helps me to kind of think of it that way, matching the tone and kind of it de-escalating rather than just running right over you. So it's this kind of way. If they're screaming loud, you match their tone with the loud shushing, and then as their tone comes down, right, then you lower your shushing, right? Matching the tone, bringing it down. Okay, so it might look like right? If they're just like, then shh. So the key here is matching their tone. Wherever they're at, meet them where they're at, and it's going to help to de-escalate and bring them down. Okay, that's just kind of how it works. The next S, you kind of see me here, is swaying and moving. And I was talking about the movement really soothes them when I had them over my knee, and you're kind of bouncing them and swaying them back and forth with the burping, and that way you could just kind of hang out with them. So swaying and movement, it's really soothing for them. So here we're having them nice and snuggly, and we're moving with them, right? Swaying, moving. Daddy loves you, my little baby. Yes, Daddy loves you. And this can look like so many different things, up and down, moving around. This is why a car ride helps to soothe them. There's this movement, okay? Movement. A really great thing to have is a swing, right? They love the movement. So any kind of apparatus that moves them, it's going to be super soothing for them, okay? So that's the fourth S per carp. And the fifth S per carp, Dr. Carp, is sucking, right? So the sucking reflex. And look, we're talking about using a pacifier here. And this is also going to be a personal situation. You know, if your woman is breastfeeding and you don't want to introduce a pacifier, no, then you're not going to use this S soothing style, okay? And look, there's a lot to be said for especially if your woman is breastfeeding, making sure that the baby and your woman are very connected, and there's she has a good latch and there's no confusion going on. That all comes into play and super relevant, all right? And if you're not so worried and everything is cool and you do want to use a pacifier, then this S is also a nice wrap up, and the 5 S's is with sucking, okay? So it would be using a pacifier and putting it in their mouth. Now, I'm here to share with you that sometimes your baby's not going to want this in their mouth, and they're going to spit it out, okay? So then what do? You want to do the takeaway technique. Okay, so here you are, right? You're still in soothing mode here. You know, you want to tease them a little bit. You might want to put this on their lips, and then, oh, they're going to, no, you know, and then you pull it away a little bit, give it back, pull it away, the little takeaway technique, you know. Here you go to get them, and then pull it away, and then finally, okay, here you go, right? And then, so here were Dr. Karp's 5 S's, and I'm here to share with you, they saved me, man, right? I didn't know any of these, and I was kind of white-knuckling it through the soothing and trying to, you know, piecing together. I was definitely, you know, moving them and rocking them and all that. However, in a systemized way, this kind of changed everything, all right? Now, your baby at different times and different days, they might need 1 S, sometimes 2 S's, sometimes all the S's. And you're going to, you have this tool bag to use, right? Of the different S's at different times. I'm always starting with the skin on skin. Now, let's say, you know, you tried this circumstance. You can always do the following, right? The next step is nix the swaddle, right? So under the guise of not swaddling, right? Let's say you want to avoid the swaddling because you're like, it really resonates with me that it kind of shuts them down. Okay, skin on skin, baby, shirt off, same process. Side lying, shushing, swaying and moving, holding them super close, okay? With them like this. All the different, if you want to use the pacifier, you can use those same S's, except skin on skin. Man, skin on skin, it's like the fundamental way to soothe them, okay? Now, adding these other, you know, S's are really helpful. Now, I want to share with you another position that is also very effective in soothing them. So again, they can be swaddled, skin on skin. You're holding the baby. Oh, let me move the baby. And what you want to do is put your throat and neck on the baby's head like this. So you're holding them. So look, they're facing out. You're holding them tight. You could be moving with them. There's something about the vibration, okay, coming from your throat, going right onto their head, vibrating in through their body, that is very, very soothing for them. So here, you know, you wrap it all together in a different positioning format, okay, like this. And there you go. Okay, you right now have a bag of tools, more than most people have walking around. And I'm here to share with you, these tools work 85, 90% of the time if you have a standard issue, a healthy, you know, baby, that there was no other, health issues going on, and we're talking about straight up soothing. They were fed, they have a clean behind, they were fed, and you're soothing, you're in soothing mode. These tools, these soothing skills are so effective. And you have so many to choose from, which I'm so glad that you do, because it's going to save you so many headaches and frustration and anxiety and stress, okay? Which we're going to chat about next when we talk about what happens when these skills don't work. Because unfortunately, sometimes It just doesn't work. And that leads to a lot of frustration and anger, and we're about to get into centering skills on how you navigate when your baby doesn't stop crying and they don't seem that there's anything we can do to soothe them. So that's coming right up.